At its simplest, personalised healthcare is any set of measures which make sure that, or which enable you to better fit treatment to patients. And this is something that all good physicians do, is they try and understand the differences between patients, and therefore, based upon the differences in disease and the patient, they choose an appropriate treatment. In terms of developing new medicines, it's something where you have to do really two things. I think you have to understand very much better what the molecular basis for the disease is, because in general we look at diseases of groups of symptoms, and understanding the molecular basis of disease gives you a better understanding of the heterogeneity of disease. And you also have to understand inter-individual differences. And when we're developing new medicines, what personalised healthcare means to us is fitting the treatment to the patients, but during the process of developing a new drug, doing as much as we can to make sure that we are able to develop a toolbox to allow physicians later on to fit treatment to the patient's disease, or to take into account inter-individual differences. I think if you just think about what I just said in terms of what PHC is, the diseases which are benefiting the most are ones where we have the best understanding of the molecular basis of disease. So there's probably two where we've made the most progress, and these are with viral pathogens, where we're very much able to understand what the pathogen is and also what the viral genome is, and to understand how the virus is evolving during a course of infection. So that's one area of virology where we've made a lot of progress in HIV and HCV treatment. We're working in HBV to improve that. And I think recently as well with HPV, and certainly on the diagnostic side, we're making some progress, and we have some HPV medicines in development. And the other area where we've made a lot of progress over the last 10 to 15 years is in oncology, where we are able to analyse the mutations within the tumour. And this again allows us to understand whether or not there are oncogenes driving the tumour, and where we have medicines which enable us to interfere in those pathways to treat based upon the tumour type. I think in some cases, and if you think of the Plexicon example or the BRAF inhibitor example, there we find an inhibitor which is very specific to a molecular subtype, and very early on in the development we understand which molecular subtype or which mutation within a tumour is the one which responds best to that inhibitor. And that allows us to have a shortened development. But in most cases, biomarker work and personalised healthcare approaches add a certain degree of complexity and cost to drug development. In the end, it will probably mean that we will develop better medicines as a consequence. But what we're doing now is we're actually investing more in each program, and therefore having slightly fewer better programs in the portfolio. The overall time for development is really not much difference. It just means that we have to invest more in terms of different resources around a compound in order to really get the best PHC approach. So I think in general, all of the stakeholders are receptive to the concept. What really counts is the new medicines that we produce as a consequence of this, and that will determine how each of the stakeholders react. I think for patients, anything that improves the benefit safety risk in a certain disease is going to be positively accepted or positively received by patients. And physicians, as really the people treating the patients, will also likely to respond very positively. With regulators have encouraged us very much to move down this pathway. But the regulatory interactions in some cases are getting more complex because of this. And this is also, to an extent, adding to the burden of the cost of developing new drugs. And payers, they will react in a very hard-headed way to whatever package you put on the table in front of them. And I think that's what we expect of them, because they're the people who are really looking after the financial side of things on behalf of patients and physicians.